وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. As we continue, as we stopped, due to the fact we had to pray at Salat al-Maghrib. As we continue in the lesson, as we start, Ya Ma'ashar al-Ikhwa, don't forget, the classes start at 7 o'clock now, not after Maghrib, 7 o'clock. This is just something extra that we're doing due to the fact that the brothers requested that we continue. So class starts again 7 o'clock, not after Maghrib. 7 o'clock. So in regards to what we said, we stopped at the hadith, or actually we finished. We conclude the narration where it talks about Ammar ibn Yasir. We said, Lahu hukm al-rafa', that the actual narration takes the hukm of a hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he says the one who fasts the day that has some doubt in it, he has disobeyed Abu al-Qasim. And we said that Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, likewise Ibn al-Qayyim, and likewise the great Imam al-Mujaddid, Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab rahimahullah, said that it is impermissible to fast the day of doubt. And we talked about what is the Zahir al-Madhab of Imam Ahmad. We said Imam Ahmad had mentioned in Mufradat Imam Ahmad, or what was, they say that he mentioned and said about this particular masala, that on the day of doubt is permissible to fast. But they said, well, the great Imam Ibn Uthaymeen has said about this statement in regards to Imam Ahmad, he said there's no clear evidence that Imam Ahmad said that a person would fast on the day of doubt. There's nothing clear. He said that was from the aqwal, as they said, ashab al-madhahib. That was from the statements of the people who actually service the madhab of Hanbali. But there's no clear statement that shows that Imam Ahmad said it's permissible to fast the day of doubt. So we said in this regard, what is the qawl rajih? And you'll find that, as we know, the Imam Muhammad al-Salih, and even the great Imam, Sheikh Salih Fawzan, who's still living, Sheikh Salih Fawzan, Hafidhullah wa ra'ah, wa talallahu fi umrihi bil amal as-salihah, that he mentioned and said, and you'll find that they actually go against the madhab, even though they have serviced the madhab themselves. Shaykh Uthaymeen, likewise Sheikh Salih Fawzan, that they oppose the madhab in this regard because it opposed the dalil. The first one is the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said, alayhi salatu wasalam, what we already mentioned. What did the Prophet ﷺ mention to say, everyone? That he said, do not precede Ramadan by a day or 2 days. That's the first narration. And the second one we just covered, the narration of Ammar ibn Yasir radiyallahu anhu ardah. So we said that Ammar ibn Yasir, that narration, lahu hukm al-rafa', that narration takes the ruling of a hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As we continue, if we want to flip the next page or to the next hadith, there's only authority عن ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إذا رأيتموه فصوموا إذا رأيتموه فأفطروا فإن غم عليكم فاقدروا له وحديث متفق عليه. We read all of them together because it's all the same subject. ولمسلم فإذا أغمي عليكم فاقدروا له 30. So the first narration is that on the authority of Ibn Umar, that the Prophet ﷺ, I heard the Messenger of Allah ﷺ say, if you see it, meaning the sighting of the moon, فَإِذَا رَأَيْتُمُوهُ فَصُومُوا, if you see it, then fast, and start the fast. And if you see it, then break the fast. فَإِنْ غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ فَاقْدِرُوا لَهُ. If it's not clear to you due to some hindrance, such as غَيْن فِي الْغُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ, meaning there's some type of cloud or hindrance, then count the number of days. فَقْدِرُوا لَهُ, meaning count the number of days. What a person will ask, it says فَقْدِرُوا لَهُ. Just out of curiosity, how do they translate it in your book, Sheikh? I just want to know how they translate it. The last part of the narration, where it says, if it's not clear, or if it's cloudy, or what have you. That translation is precise. فَإِنْ غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ, if it's cloudy, then count the number of days. Why? Due to the next narration here. The next one is mufassir lima qablahu. It explains what this narration we just mentioned, the next one that we're going to read, explains it, gives it more clarity. Where it says what? فَإِذَا أُغْمِي عَلَيْكُمْ فَقْدِرُوا لَهُ ثَلَاثِينَ. That if it's not clear to you, or something hindering you or blocking the sighting, then what? Then count 30 days. Or determine for the month of Ramadan, count for it, or determine for it 30 days. So that explains it. فَلِلْبُخَارِ فَأَكْمِلُوا الْعِدَّةَ ثَلَاثِينَ. As it comes in the narration, if in Bukhari, then count or complete the period of 30 days. Jayyid. The next narration, hadith Abu Hurairah, فَأَكْمِلُوا عِدَّةَ شَعْبَانَ ثَلَاثِينَ. And the hadith Abu Hurairah, complete the period of Sha'ban 30 days. Jayyid. So, we have 4 narrations of the Prophet ﷺ here. One here says, فَإِنْ غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ فَقْدِرُوا لَهُ. If something is blocking your vision, if it's clouds or what have you, or any type of hindrance, or anything blocking your vision from seeing the sighting, then count the number of days, which are 30. One narration says 30 itself, then one says a period of 30. Then another narration, عِدَّةَ شَعْبَانَ ثَلَاثِينَ. The period of time for Sha'ban counted 30 days. So we talked about, Ya Ma'ash al-Ikhwa, what? That Ramadan starts by one or two methods. Number one, by counting, or either by the ru'yat al-hilal, by seeing the sighting of the moon. And we know the sighting of the moon could actually start on the 20th to 29th Sha'ban. It could start on the 29th night. On that 29th, the people start looking for the hilal on that same night. So on that same night, the 29th of Sha'ban, the people start to go investigate in order to see if the hilal or the sighting of the moon has appeared. Or, as we talked about last lesson, what everyone, or the lesson before Maghrib came in, of course, what did we say? Or completed 30 days. Mumtaz. Jayyid. You'll notice that Ahl Ilm extracted from the benefits of this narration. They say due to this narration likewise, it's a clear indication of when the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he mentions it, he says start your fast due to seeing it, which also aids the 2 narrations in the last class, which is do not precede Ramadan by a day or 2 days, and the narration of Ammar bin Yasir. This narration aids those narrations. Why? Because the Prophet ﷺ had said that Ramadan only starts based upon the sighting of the moon. That's it, no more, no less. By the sighting of the moon. So it's based upon the ru'yat al-hilal, the sighting of moon, that Ramadan starts, or that one starts his fasting. So this narration aids those other ones. He says only start the month of Ramadan إِذَا رَأَيْتُمُوهُ. If you see it, then start your fast. So I mentioned to say, Ya Ma'ash al-Ikhwa, in this regard, we just said, the Prophet ﷺ had what? عَلَّقَ الصَّوْمِ رُؤْيَةِ الْهِلَالِ. That he started the hukum, or he said that siyam, that it actually starts. And also likewise, we'll talk about iftar and the differences between the two. Then between, when the month of Ramadan, we said, and I said this last class, that it can start by the shahid, or the witness of what? How many? 1. However, in contrast to Shawwal, then one needs 2 witnesses. So that's the difference. So in regards to Ramadan, in which we'll talk, it's going to come, don't worry. For the order for the month to start, all one needs is 1 witness, and we'll also talk about the conditions that has to be fulfilled, the prerequisites. In regards to the witness, for the one who sees the hilal. And we're going to also discuss about whether or not a person goes by the vision or the sighting of the moon that's in his city, or by the vision that is in Saudi, because this happens every year. That's been happening since 2001, 2000. Everybody's always talking about the sighting. We go by the local sighting, or do we go by the sighting of another country? All that we'll discuss. In that fact, I'll start on it right now. J. So in this regard, like I said, there's a major khilaf in this issue, which we'll discuss and touch a little bit on. No doubt, and I'll read even what the great Imam, he even mentioned this, a great fa'idah in this, and I'll mention it quickly. The great Imam, he goes on to say, الهلال تختلف مطالعه بين أرض وأخرى في رمضان وغيره والحكم واحد في الجميع. Listen to this. لكني أرى أن يتفق الناس على شيء واحد وأن يتبعوا ما يقوله أمير الجالية الإسلامية في بلاد غير المسلمين. يعني الأمر في هذا واسع إن شاء الله، حيث أن بعض العلماء يقول متى ثبتت رؤية الهلال في بلد الإسلام في أي قطر لزم الحكم جميع المسلمين في جميع الأقطار الإسلامية. Listen to what he says. كتبه محمد بن صالح العثيمين. Just listen. He gives a good benefit in this. He says, as far as the crescent moon, or the sighting of the moon, he said it's all different according to the matali', meaning of the levels of, or of the same plane or level of where the moon is, where the moon, of course, passes over. If it's in that same zone, then they usually see the same sighting, if it's in the same zone or what have you. And if it's a different zone, then usually, he says then, likewise the vision or the sighting of the moon will be different. So listen. He says from one land to another in Ramadan and other than that. He said the hukum is one. However, he says, I do see that the people do agree upon one thing, no doubt. He says, and that they follow what the Amir al-Jali al-Islamiyya, he says, and that they follow what the Amir al-Jali al-Islamiyya, he says, of the one who's the leader of the Islamic generation in the countries which are not Muslim. Now listen to this. The affair in this regard is wasi'. So he's not talking about the Muslim countries. He's talking about people who are living in non-Muslim countries. The affair is wasi'. He said that it's more what? Amicable. That it's more broad. Just listen. He says, some of the ulama do see that once the sighting of the moon has been established in one country, the country that's a country of Islam, of course, no matter what other country it is, then it's binding that hukum upon all the Muslims in the rest of the Muslim countries. So everything does mention this. So that's one statement. Now, he does say the other one. He does say that the time zones or the zones are different. And that's what Shaykh al-Islam mentions, no doubt. Shaykh al-Islam, I'm going to read it quickly, what he even mentions it says. So we just keep the hands on the difference between what is cited in a Muslim country and what's cited in those Muslims who live in non-Muslim countries. So we just talked about what, in regards to those Muslims that live in non-Muslim countries. Now he's going to talk about this other one. I'm going to read this quickly. It says, سئل فضيلة الشيخ رحمه الله عن الهلال هل يمكن توحيده بحيث إذا رؤي في بلد وجب على جميع المسلمين الصوم في هلال رمضان والفطر في هلال شوال. He says, ask فضيلة الشيخ about the crescent, the sighting of the moon. He says, can it be united? هل يمكن توحيده? Can it be united upon one vision or one sighting? Whereas if it's sighted in one country or one place, then it's obligatory upon the Muslims fasting because what? Because of that particular sighting of Ramadan. And likewise, the same thing as far as stopping the fast, meaning breaking it, because now Shawwal came in. Just listen. He said, فَجَابَ فَضِيلَةُ بِقَوْلِهِ الْحَمْدُ لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ وَأُصَلِّي وَأُسَلَّمَ عَلَى نَبِيِّنَا مُحَمَّدٍ وَعَلَى آلِهِ وَأَصْحَابِهِ أَجْمَعِينَ. This is what he goes on to say. هذه المسألة أعني مسألة الهلال مختلف فيها بين أهل العلم فمنهم من يرى أنه إذا ثبتت رؤية الهلال في مكان على وجه شرعي فإنه يلزم جميع المسلمين الصوم إن كان هلال رمضان والفطر إن كان هلال شوال. هذا هو المشهور من مذهب الإمام أحمد رحمه الله. فعلى هذا إذا رؤي في المملكة العربية السعودية مثلا وجب على جميع المسلمين في كل الأقطار أن يعملوا بهذه الرؤية صوما في رمضان وفطرا في شوال. واستدلوا لذلك بعموم قول الله تبارك وتعالى فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصوم، وعموم قول الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا رأيتموه فصوموا وإذا رأيتموه فأفطروا. قالوا والخطاب للمسلمين فيشمل جميع المسلمين في جميع أقطار الأرض. So this is the first part. So he says now, of course he sends salutations, praises Allah, says salutations upon the Prophet ﷺ. He said this mas'ala, this particular matter, mas'ala al-hilal, the sighting of the moon, mukhtalafu fiha, is something that's different amongst Ahl al-Ilm. From amongst them who see that if the sighting of the moon or the sight of the crescent moon is established in one place in a manner that is legislated, we're all going to get into that, don't worry. What is legislated? That is binding upon the rest of the Muslims to fast in kana hilal Ramadan, if the crescent of the sighting of Ramadan has been sighted. And likewise to stop fasting, meaning to break their fast at the end of the month. He says once the month of Shawwal has started, or the crescent moon for Shawwal has been sighted. This is what is mashhur, or what is famous for the madhab of Imam Ahmad rahimahullah. For upon this, if it was cited in the Mamlakat al-Arabiyyah al-Saudiya, for example, then it's obligatory upon all the Muslims in all the countries to work by their sighting. What? Sawma fi Ramadan wa fitran fi Shawwal. In order to start Ramadan or to what? Or to finalize or finish Ramadan where the month of Shawwal started. And they use as an evidence and proof the general statement of Allah Ta'ala, the ayah, whoever from amongst you sees the month and let him start his fasting. And the generality of the statement of the Prophet ﷺ that we just mentioned is said, if you see it, then start. And if you see it, then break it. He said, for verily this addressment was for all the Muslims, and they say that it is what? Conclusive and comprehensive for all the Muslims all over the world. Jayyid. However, then he goes on to say, from the ulama who say that إنه لا يجب الصوم في هلال رمضان والفطر في هلال شوال إلا لمن رأى الهلال أو كان موافقا لمن رآه في مطالع الهلال. From the ulama who say that it's not obligatory as far as the crescent in Ramadan, nor then one has to stop or break or stop their fasting due to the month of the sighting of Shawwal. He said it's not binding that everyone work with one vision. Just listen. He says إلا لمن رأى الهلال أو كان موافقا لمن رآه في مطالع الهلال. Except for the one أو كان موافقا لمن رآه. It says as far as the one which their zone, of course, what is agrees within their own zone, or what they matali', what is agrees, or their zones agree, or whatever, they're in the same type of zone or what have you. He says, مِيَنَّ مَطَالِعَ الْهِلَالِ تَخْتَلِفْ بِاتِّفَاقِ أَهْلِ الْمَعْرِفَ بِذَلِكَ. He says, it's known that is what? The zones of the hilal, the sightings, he said they're all different, which is an agreement with people who have true knowledge of this affair, or this matter. He says, and if that's different, then of course, then if this being that the case, as he says, that every country will have their own sighting, of course. وَالْبِلَادُ الْأُخْرَى إِنْ وَافَقَتْهُ فِي مَطَالِعِ الْهِلَالِ فَهِيَ تَبَعُ لَهُ. However, there are other countries, if they agree in the same zone of the moon, then they follow them. Then they all work by the same hilal. He said, if they're not in the same zone, then what? Then they don't. Jayyid, just listen. This is the statement of Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah rahimahullah. Right? وَاسْتَدَلَّ لِهَا الْقَوْلِ بِقَوْلِهِ. And of course Shaykh al-Islam mentions this. And I'll just mention it quickly because I'm going to now finalize this and make it straight to the point. After I read this. Due to the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, if you see it, then fast. And if you see it, then what? Stop your fasting. So they use the same dalil. So listen what it goes on to say. The point of how Shaykh al-Islam used this as an evidence, he says, في هذه الآية والحديث, he said that the hukum, meaning the actual ruling, that it all is hung, it clings by the what? By the one who is the witness and the one who sees it. He said, وَهَذَا يَقْتَضِي أَنَّ مَنْ لَمْ يَشْهَدْ وَلَمْ يُرَى or لَمْ يَرَى لَمْ يَلْزَمْهُ حُكْمُ الْهِلَالِ. Also, is he buying the same thing? He's saying that the matali', the zones are different, and also likewise the other prerequisites that have to be fulfilled. I'm going to just sum it all up. So we notice that it's two statements in this what? Masala. Person says that one's by work by one vision, and then you'll find that it's a strong position by Shaykh al-Islam. Shaykh Uthaymeen is upon that opinion of Shaykh al-Islam. Just to sum it up. I don't want everybody to get confused. However, listen to this last statement, and this is where I'll stop. Now, listen to this. Now, in regards, like we said, keep in mind we're in a non-Muslim country. That fatwa applies to what? Muslim country. That's what a lot of people read. The fatwa, and they read fatwa books, and they're not realizing that the Kalam of the Shaykh is talking about Muslim countries. Not talking about people who live in a non-Muslim country. So now listen what it goes on to say. وأما الشق الثاني من السؤال وهو كيف يصوم المسلمين في بعض بلاد الكفار. So I notice I said كفار. التي ليس بها رؤية شرعية. He says, now how do we want? What about the Muslims who fast in some of the cities of the kuffar? Some of the countries of some of those countries that are inhabited, of course, by the non-Muslims. That they do not have a legislative citing. A legislated clear رؤية شرعية. Listen. He said, فإن هؤلاء يمكنهم أن يثبتوا الهلال عن طريق شرعي وذلك بأن يتراءوا الهلال إذا أمكنهم ذلك فإن لم يمكنهم هذا فإن قلنا بالقول الأول في هذه المسألة فإنه متى ثبت رؤية الهلال في بلد إسلامي فإنهم يعملون بمقتضى هذه الرؤية سواء رأوه أو لم يروا. He says, فإن هؤلاء يمكنهم يثبتوا الهلال. He said, for these, if they, he says, if, فإن هؤلاء يمكنهم أن يثبتوا الهلال عن طريق الشرعي وذلك بأن يتراءوا الهلال فإن أمكنهم إذا أمكنهم ذلك. He said, these people, if they're able to affirm the deciding of the moon in a manner that's legislated, where they are able to see the actual sighting, then if they're able to do that, if they're not able to do that, then we go back and say the first statement in this matter, which is what? When the actual vision of the hilal has been established in the Muslim country, for verily they work in accordance to that sighting. Doesn't matter whether they saw it or they did not see it. Jayid. Also, likewise, you'll find that a lot of people, like I said, every year people start fitting around this. Alhamdulillah, we have a statement, Sheikh Salih Fawzan. Sheikh Salih Fawzan even gives a very, 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 very profound, great statement. He says, it's kind of funny how all the Muslims now in these worlds, you'll find, especially when the end part, or the ending of Sha'ban, the last couple of days is left until Ramadan starts, you'll find that they said that they always try to what? Talk about why can the Muslims unite upon one vision everywhere? Why can't we just unite the Muslims upon one sighting? What's the problem? You know Sheikh Salih Fawzan said the reply to that? He said, why don't you have that same diligence uniting the Muslims upon one aqidah? He said that's more important than uniting the Muslims upon one sighting. Which was more important, everyone? Unite the Muslims upon one aqidah. He says, you'll find that they do this every year. He said, well, how come the first thing that doesn't come out your mouth is unite the Muslims upon one aqidah? That's more important. That takes precedence. Right? Now, as soon as Sha'ban, at the end of it, you want to now what? Talking about how we need to unite the Muslims upon one sighting. We need to look at the Muslims can't unite upon one sighting. Yaqi, what's more important is to unite the Muslims upon one aqidah first. Instead of talking about what? Wasting your time and also wasting the Muslims' time. We're trying to so-called unite them upon one sighting. It's a profound statement of the Imam, Hafidhullah wa ta'ala. So does that now give a little bit of insight in this regard? Somewhat. And also likewise, a lot of people will start to say, well, how come we don't we use, Isna saw it, because I notice a lot of people like to use the tariqah of the what? The Ikhwani, Al-Ikhwaniyin, or what they call Jama'at Al-Ikhwan Al-Mujrimeen Al-Muflisin, Al-Ikhwaniyin, or the Muslim Brotherhood. Then we say, as far as Ahl al-Bid'ah, then we do not work by their citing. You understand, everyone? Ahl al-Bid'ah, we do not work by their citing for the start of the month of Ramadan. Due to the fact that if it's not secure upon their aqidah, then how can it be secure that we will also be starting and using their citing? If it's not secure that we trust them in their aqidah, then it's for all the more reason that we want to trust them in other areas, especially in the affairs of Ramadan. Because you'll find that a lot of them are affected by these so-called procedures or the methods of the Gharb, of the West. They start to work by what they call Hisab al-Falaki. You'll find that they want to use what they call the so-called Hisab al-Falaki, where the actual way the stars are positioned in the sky, they want to use that. They say that's what we use. You'll give precedence to what they call Hisab al-Falaki, what is the position of the stars, and doing everything based upon the position of the star, or how the stars are, or counting out the positions or how many stars are lined up, and use that. Based upon the fact we do not trust them in those affairs, then we do not accept their statements. It's understood, everyone. So you'll find some of our Salafi brothers in our communities and sisters going to these deviant websites such as Isna and all these other places in order to start more mischief and more fitna and confusion. You understand, everyone? So that's the reason why every year you'll find that we usually use the citing of another Muslim country, which is reliable, which is Al-Mamlakat Al-Arabiyyah Al-Saudiya, which is the only city of Tawheed which is left that has not been affected in the manner, like we said, where democracy and all the different ideologies that are pathetic in the world, you'll find that the land is, this usul of it is upon Tawheed, which is the da'wah of Sheikh Muhammad Abdul Wahab, which is the only country left in this world in which all the enemies of Islam are trying to destroy. And for that reason, we work by their citing. And that's the reason why you'll find that the brothers every year, you work by their citing and based upon also the statements of Ahl al-Ilm here. Jayyid? Tayyib. We'll stop here. Because we've been talking now for about an hour and some other minutes. Hour and 40 minutes now? Hour and 40 minutes. We'll stop here. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.